The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning here at 5 a.m. Thanks for waking up with us on a Wednesday. I'm Maddie Jansen alongside Alex Fisher.
So we begin with your 17 Court Watch this morning. The driver accused of crashing into and killing a beloved Arvin teacher says he did it on purpose to try to kill himself. The crash happened back in February in southwest Bakersfield. Police say Mark Qualls sped up, ran a red light, and slammed into a car carrying 79-year-old Larry Hollum. Hollum died weeks later from his injuries. He was a teacher in the Arvin School District for decades. Qualls had a blood alcohol content more than twice the legal limit. He was already on probation for a prior DUI. According to court records, Qualls told an officer he wanted to die and never attempted to avoid Larry Hollum's car. Qualls is due back in court next week.
A Bakersfield teacher accused of distributing and possessing child pornography has been arrested. Police arrested 59-year-old Matthew Ambrose, a 6th grade teacher at Bessie Owens Elementary School, yesterday. Police say the investigation did not indicate any local children were involved. The school district says it's cooperating with the investigation, adding Ambrose is not allowed back on campus.
County supervisors are delaying the increase of land use fees. The price hike is supposed to pay for a state mandate to transform our out-of-date landfills into a universal waste system. But leaders have a new plan after heavy debate and concern from those who would be impacted the most by this price hike. 17's Michaela Armstrong was at the meeting and has more.
Opposition to those fee increases was strong at Tuesday's hearing.
A lot of things kind of get slipped through, and we don't always get to vote. We don't always get to, have a say in what happens, and that's, to me, not fair when it comes to, having to pay this kind of money.
We're taxed to death here. There's no more water in that watering hole here. It's got to stop now.
There's a lot of folks up there that can't afford it. And I just can't, I hope that this can be fixed, and not put such a high damper on these kind of prices on these people.
Impassioned opposition convinced the board to ask Public Works to drastically revamp the plan, leading to a proposal to delay for another 6 months for most outlying communities where mandatory trash collection is required.
We thought it would help the citizens to delay that for 6 months, to lower that first year cost, while at the same time staff goes back there and comes up with the greater plan to become fully compliant with State Senate Bill 1383.
According to Champlin, State Senate Bill 1383 requires local governments to divert 75% of their organic waste from landfills by 2025.
And that's kind of the rock and the hard place that we're between, is that we have to put this in on behalf of the state to make sure the state can reach their goals.
But with opposition from residents and the supervisors on imposing increases on outlying areas, the board approved focusing on Metro Bakersfield and using the next 6 months to come up with something that works best for the other areas.
We are instituting the Metropolitan Bakersfield area on July 1st, and that alone gets us about 65% compliant with the total 100% compliance of the county. So we kind of see that as the first entry point for the county, and also to show the state that we're serious about getting to these goals.
Leaving residents on a cliffhanger as to what might happen next. Michaela Armstrong, 17 News.
From our 17 follow-up file, 3 months after entering end-of-life care at his home, former President Jimmy Carter remains in good spirits. According to his grandson, the 98-year-old has been visiting with family and receiving updates on his Global Humanitarian Foundation. His grandson says Carter is also enjoying regular servings of peanut butter ice cream. After a series of health issues, Carter announced in February he would forego further medical intervention, choosing instead to spend the remainder of his life at his home in Georgia.
After much anticipation, Florida Governor Ron Desantis is set to declare his 2024 run for president today. He'll join a growing pool of candidates in the Republican race. NBC's Bree Jackson is in Washington with more.
Of laws, not a government.
Florida Governor Ron Desantis officially jumping into the 2024 presidential race later today after months of raising his national profile with controversial laws.
We must reject the culture of losing that has infected our party in recent years. The time for excuses is over.
a faith that our best days lay ahead of us.
His wife, Casey, posting this preview of what's to come on Twitter. Tonight, the company's CEO, Elon Musk, will host an event on the site's platform, kicking off the second-term governor's presidential bid. Musk contends it's not an endorsement.
My preference, and I think would be the preference of most Americans, is really to have someone fairly normal in office.
The announcement sets up a political battle with the current GOP frontrunner and former president, Donald Trump. Verbal jabs between the two have escalated.
Ron Desantis, did anyone ever hear of Desantis, the sanctimonious?
DeSantis joins a growing field of Republicans making their pitch.
So the truth is that what people really want is an optimistic, positive, conservative, who has a backbone, but also believes that the best is yet to come.
My experience fits with the challenges that we face.
We have to elect someone that can win a general election.
Where DeSantis and other candidates stand on issues like abortion is expected to be a deciding factor for voters. And DeSantis is expected to start campaigning in several states after Memorial Day. In Washington, Bree Jackson, NBC News.
Turning to our coverage of the Sierra snowmelt and a dramatic rescue in Northern California. A teenager is grateful to be alive after being pulled out of a rushing river in Sacramento County. He says he was not wearing a life jacket when he was with his friends and they went rafting. Here's Orko Mena with that big mistake.
My adrenaline was kicking in. I was like gripping that thing for dear life.
18-year-old Troy Luna Jr. clutches onto a tree while trapped in the wild waters of the Cosumnes River. Livecopter 3 capturing this exclusive video of Troy getting rescued. The Rancho Murrieta teen tells me it's not a position he ever expected to be in, and he's thankful to be alive.
I'm glad I was fine and that tree was stable, but like if it wasn't, I wouldn't be here, and I don't think anybody should be doing that either, because I could have died, and I don't want to die.
Troy says he and 3 other friends were rafting when the current suddenly took him downstream. He somehow grabbed onto a tree but was not wearing a life jacket.
I started screaming, "Help me," like really loud.
Neighbors tell KCRA3 that people golfing nearby called 911 around 4:30 in the afternoon. Rescue crews with the Sacramento Metro, Cosumnes, and Folsom fire departments got to the water and threw Troy a rope. With the help of rescue swimmers, Troy was safely brought to shore just over an hour later with only a few scratches.
My leg was hurting. Luckily, I didn't come out with like anything bad.
Officials say because of the snow melt right now, waterways across the region, including the Cosumnes River here, are really dangerous. You can see just how fast the water is moving, and if you're stuck in this, things can get dicey quick.
I was like, it'll change on a dime and you won't know what to do.
Troy's mother, Jenny, says she warned him not to go into the river. She feels numb but relieved.
I'm glad he's safe. I mean, I don't think there's anything else in the world that I could have ever wanted more, was to make sure that all my kids are going to be at home tonight sleeping in their bed.
And now Troy has a message for others.
Don't be an idiot. Don't be like me. Listen to your parents. Do not go in the water.
That was Orko Mena reporting. Happening here at home, flood preparations are underway along Manor Street, where property owners are working closely with the county to prepare for the worst possible scenario. This equestrian ranch homes 175 horses and is right up against the Kern River. Management says it's working closely with city emergency officials every day to keep its property and horses safe, and has a bunch of sandbags ready for use.
Well, this morning we are closely monitoring the Kern River as more water continues to flow into Isabella Lake. Right now, the lake is at 70% capacity. That is according to reports from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. And while the lake can hold a lot more water, data shows capacity is decreasing between 1% and 2% a day. And there is still a lot of snow sitting in our mountains getting ready to melt. Some areas of the Sierras still have more than 8 feet of snow. So how much water has flowed into that lake? Well, in the past week, 15 billion gallons of water. It's a lot of water. It's flowed into Isabella Lake. That is enough water to cover 46,000 football fields with 1 foot of water. So again, yes, Lake Isabella right now at 70% capacity, so still a long way to go. But when you look at where we were a week ago, we were just sitting at just a little above 60%. So, you know, it is quickly quickly filling up.
And it's still so early in the season.
You-
Still so much snow.
I think a lot of it is for us, especially here in the valley. We look to our mountains from the valley perspective.
Sure.
And we're like, hey, there's no snow.
There's no more left.
But when you go and see it from a bird's eye view, of course, you really see how much snow is still up there. I was telling you, I was looking at some of the observation sites up to our north. Some areas still have 23 feet or more of snow still sitting up there getting ready to melt.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.